action, and welcome everybody. This is PnP Weekly episode 225. It is 6th of November 2023, and we just confirmed and double checked that we started, what was it, August?
17th August 2018.
Okay, so a bit past than 5 years. That's good. That's not too bad. So
it's been a while.
Not too shabby. So 5 years to 2025 divided by 5. That's a bit over than 4 is like 44 episodes within a year. So that's good. Yeah, good average.
Decent.
Yeah, that's good. So in the PnP Weekly, I always talk about the latest on Microsoft 365 and related technologies. And typically we have a visitor in the show as well. Who's our visitor this week?
Today, our visitor is Nathalie Leenders. She is a Dutch MVP. She is a Power Platform developer as of now, soon to be changed.
Soon to be changed. I guess let's without further ado, let's jump on the interview and have a move forward from there. Excellent. Let's get moving. So, welcome Nathalie on the PnP Weekly episode, apparently episode 225, which is pretty cool. It is 6th of November, as we did the intro before Waldek, before moving into the
It's still November 6th, yes.
It is still November 6th. But Nathalie, let's start with the quick intros. Who are you and what do you do for a living?
Sure. So I'm Nathalie Leenders. I'm a Power Platform developer from the Netherlands. And people may know me from the person that posts the badger GIF in the community calls. Whenever somebody mentions the Credly certifications, I'm always in there posting the badgers GIF. So yeah, that's me. And I'm actually going to be starting as a Power Platform consultant next year in January.
Cool.
So yeah.
Now as a developer, then as a consultant, what changes? What changes
So
between?
I currently work for the internal company. So internal requests whenever we have legacy apps to be replaced or automations to be made. And the change to consultant will be that I will be working for clients. So external different companies that I will be doing projects for. So it kind of changes from being known within a company, within the processes, to working for other companies with other types of processes and working with that.
Yeah.
That is so cool because you'll be coming to the new job with tons of internal knowledge, how processes work. That's invaluable.
Yeah, I hope so. No, it's because I've only been in the Power Platform for about 2.5 years. So
that's
for me to
that,
move
that's a long time.
Yeah, that is a long time. Considering what has happened within the 2.5 years in Power Platform world, because it has really exploded.
That's true. In the whole Power Platform world, I would say that's now about 8 years that the Power Platform exists. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Already,
but no, it's I've been doing SharePoint Designer, and I did InfoPath, I did workflows in there, then I did Power BI. So I kind of come from a SharePoint background. And from there,
InfoPath and SharePoint Designer.
Yes.
That's like
nothing wrong with that too. It's just tools.
Sure.
They work.
At the time,
they worked.
SharePoint Designer still works, right? I think there's still a download.
2026 is the because of the. I think we released the last version together with on-premises SharePoint 2016, and therefore 10 years forward and 2026.
Oh, there you go. So if you want to get it. You still have 2 years. Chop.
Yeah, it still kind of works. No, I mean, I had a really patient manager back then who was like, well, I want to teach you how to create forms and workflows because we have a demand here within the company. Yep. And I know you can do it. I'm like, are you sure? I'm not good at logic things. I barely know an if statement. Are you sure you want to teach me how to create workflows? He's like, yeah, let's go for it. So he did. And I just got into it from there.
Yep.
Brilliant. But so that is an interesting thing. So because I can imagine that makes you appreciate the tools that we have today even more. Because so I'm interested is that in your take, how do you see how the landscape has evolved for you from the things you worked on, like forms, workflows, from, as you said, like SharePoint Designer, workflows, InfoPath to today?
Yeah, so back then it was really daunting because you had to map out every single thing in an InfoPath form or every single in a workflow step. You really had to map every single step that we take for granted we do automatically. But back then you really had to put put everything in there. And now with AI and with Copilot and everything, you can just type out like, hey, do this for me. But back then it was so daunting that in a Power app, for a button, I had to create a Power FX code that navigated to something or do a variable. And it was really difficult those first few months trying to get into that, because I got in it on the job. I had my very first project, and the company was like, well, can you create this? I'm like, sure. And I opened Power Apps. And I was like, what is this? How does this work? And it has really changed over time, because it's been made so much easier, but also a little bit more difficult, because what used to be in the OnStart can now be in the start screen, or is no longer supported on OnStart. So there's many different changes over the past years as well. But I mean, there's the whole community that's out there and the Microsoft Learn pages, and I try and be in most of the community sessions, even though it's way too technical for me. I'm still there to learn about the possibilities and learn like, oh, if I do a Viva integration or a SharePoint SFX add-in type of thing, oh, it might be able to do that. Oh, that's interesting, because who knows, maybe in the future I will need it. But it has changed so much that even for a person like me with no coding background, you are able to learn and to grow and to actually do it.
Yeah. What about, so let's go a bit back, and even still, if you think about your SharePoint Designer experiences and InfoPath experiences, was that helpful when you started then adapting the Power Platform? Because the mental mindset is pretty the same.
Say yes. Yeah, but for SharePoint Designer, I would say just the workflow portion of it to automate, for example, an email when a SharePoint item has been added. That's really similar to how Power Automate works now. But the SharePoint Designer itself, I would say, is more if you're a functional manager within SharePoint or a technical manager. But the workflows portion is very, very similar. I would say it's the predecessor to Power Automate or Flow that it is now.
Definitely. But and then also, as Waldek was saying, now the fact that you're transitioning from a customer side to the consultant side, it will be definitely beneficial, because if you think about your expertise and the fact that you've been building in-house applications, so you know the requirements and all of that stuff. So now you'll just replicate that and the thinking point and everything else as a consultant, which is awesome, because
it's
expertise is really good rather than just jumping to be a consultant.
No, it's something that, so I've learned how to go from the beginning till the end, like do the full life cycle of creating a prototype, developing something, doing an early soft UAT as we call it, or user acceptance testing, and then have more testing, then do a soft launch into production, then do production, then do hypercare. I've been involved from the beginning to the end of the full product or project lifecycle.
Exactly. And that hands-on experiences rather than academic experience by reading, it's really hands-on real-world projects. So that's going to be highly beneficial as a consultant for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, is that still in the same company? Just out of curiosity,
no.
Or are you? Okay. So
I am switching companies. No, it's I've been given this opportunity by somebody that I know within the community, and she told me it's okay to tell. So I'm going to be working for Wortel, and Wortel is also really active with Experts Live in the community, in doing events, providing trainings. And I'm really, really passionate about the community, being able to provide trainings, attend trainings. And my current company, Commerce, being a chemical company, they don't really focus on that. So that's the reason why I've decided to change companies, because I've worked for Commerce for almost 8 years, but now since that I've become an MVP and been more active in the community calls and events, and I really want to do trainings, and unfortunately there wasn't any room for that at Commerce. And then Femke called me. She's like, "Hey, do you want to have some tea with me and my CTO?" Like, sure, of course, let's do that.
Why not?
Not even a coffee, a tea.
Why not? Yes.
Now, would it be then fair to say that community work and being active in a community has, rocketed your career, or what's the impact of community?
Yeah, no, it's everything. So the first year when I was a Power Platform developer, I didn't really know the community was out there. I kind of knew of the Power Users forums. I kind of saw some articles, but I didn't really know on the whole MVP community and all of the calls. So I got the chance through the company to go to the Power Platform conference in 2022. And back then I was on the community live call and I was there. I was like, wait a minute, there's this whole world out there. How does this work? There's other people actually doing this.
I'm not
And I
alone.
found,
Yes, right?
yes, yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, I I should do this. I should be, or I can be on all of the calls, and I can contribute and attend. And I saw an empty seat next to Hugo and David. I was like, hey guys, can I sit here? And they were like, yeah, sure. And we just started talking. And they've been really helping me also with the sharing is caring sessions, learning how to use GitHub. I have my whole website now running on GitHub with GitHub Actions.
Brilliant.
I never would have dreamed I could learn and understand GitHub. So they've been really helping me with that. And I've just been trying to pay it forward by also being on the community calls, being a mentor for other people, and just sharing all of the knowledge that's out there. So in my second year, this past year, I have grown so much in my skills, and also with helping others. I mean, we were. I cannot talk. We learn and rise by lifting others, and yes. I really do try and do that now.
Yeah.
Do you know where the urge to work together with others and share others and help them is coming from? Because like that is like a personal trait. Like you have it, you're passionate about it, and like the moment you saw it out there was like, I want to do that too. When I grow up, I want to do that. Do you know where that's coming from?
I don't know. I've always had it. Whenever I see somebody in a store looking at a product that I use, I of course ask like, hey, would you like some advice on that? I mean, I've used it. I can maybe help you out. Or it's just being willing to help other people. And I've always had that, and that's the whole reason why I went into IT, because whenever a computer somewhere broke, I could fix it. And I was like, wait a minute, if I can do this here, I could do this for other people. And it just kind of grew from there.
And it's great, as you're engaging with other people, you learn from them as well. So it's an exchanging of ideas and all of that. So it's a really truly a win-win scenario, and having that community and connections around you, that network is helping you, which is, it's awesome to see how the community has grown in this larger view, and then the connections and the willingness of helping in Twitter and social media, everything else, because why wouldn't we help each other? So, and I think maybe even the pandemic was a good thing for the community, because it basically opened up the community to work, remotely, even though you're not physically in person. We were forced to learn those habits of working together. So
it kind of forced people to share their things online, because you couldn't do it at an in-person event, and it really helped other people also realize that if you do it online, you can reach people. And for example, I have a mentee in Nigeria. I mean, I never would have thought I would help somebody from Africa. Yes. And that's all. I mean, the power of the community, and being able to use hashtags like hashtag community love, community rocks, and use all of those, and have real life virtual interaction with people, and also being able to learn from them and grow. Because I always tell people, I'm always learning. IT, you have to be open and willing to learn and share knowledge with others, because otherwise you can never grow as a person, or at least in my belief.
True. Well, you're an awesome example of that. So considering your career development and getting an MVP and then presenting, and then I can imagine that the first time going to present even in community call was intimidating.
I was terrified.
Any tips on how to get over that?
Yeah, it was something so I really had guidance in the week prior from from David in helping me. But it was only a 10-minute demo that I did on a Teams adaptive card output, because I was like, hey, I know how this works. I can show people, but I was literally shaking in that call. I was so scared of doing it, but then I did it and I got really great feedback from people. I was like, wait a minute, this went well. I can do this again. And then I did a user group session of in person 30 people, and I was also shaking, but it worked.
Yeah.
And from that, I got accepted to speak in Tallinn in Estonia in February.
Brilliant.
And so I flew out there and I got all of this help and a really warm welcome from all of the MVPs that were there. And they also really helped me, because I forgot to bring a drink during my session and my throat, of course, got really dry. And then another MVP, she actually helped me to get some water for me. And all of those things really helped me in getting comfortable in doing that. And then a month later, I got selected to speak at Power Platform Conference in Vegas. And I was like, oh my God.
Excellent.
This is crazy, mind-blowing.
Upward trajectory, like like from 10 people online call to, from 10 minutes online call to like the biggest event in the world. Brilliant. Yeah,
and I was there last month, and I was really fortunate that my first session was together with Chris Huntingford, who is a natural at speaking and engaging with people, and that really helped me in actually doing the session and not have to worry. And also for the timing, so our session was at 1:00. I had in my mind it was at 1:30. So at 1:45, we actually had to grab our laptop, run, and race over there. So I didn't have time to worry about anything.
Oh, there you go, brilliant.
We just jumped straight into it. But there were over 350 or 400 people in the room.
Awesome.
It was so crowded, but it felt like I was talking to 10 people.
Yeah.
And it was so awesome. And then we did it, and there were so many people having questions, and it was just so awesome to do. I was like, how did I go from 40 people to 400 people?
Yep.
It's insane.
Pretty fast.
Pretty fast. And you were able to do that. So awesome. And breaking those, having the courage of doing it and basically committing. And well, I've done quite a lot of presenting, but I still get, every single time I start flying to somewhere and I know that I need to present, it's like, why did I say yes for this? Why did I? Why?
It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. I've got the butterflies after all these years still. It's like every single time until I'm on stage. It's like, oh my God, like, why have I committed this? Never again. And then you are there presenting, seeing people, their reactions, questions, the applause, the laughter. And you're like, you're pumped. Like, when can I do another one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I do another one, and it's exactly the same thing. Like, wow.
Yes.
Like,
and also, this is my motto.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah.
So that kind of summarizes the courage, right? Like the ability to do something when you don't feel like it. So, yeah.
That's how we step outside of our comfort zone, and that forces us to that's how we evolve, right? So that's how you have to get outside of the comfort zone to be able to go to the next step on wherever the steps are actually going. It's not necessarily next steps in a career as such, but growing outside of where you are currently. And that is, it's hard, but it's always, it's a good way of always committing on something like Tallinn. I think it's Yvonne who's organizing that, right?
Tallinn's Vivian.
Vivian, yes, absolutely. Vivian is organizing that. Yes, I could ask as well, but unfortunately, I can't. Too much to work, and worry about it. And at some point, I've been trying to. Yeah, I know, but it's hard.
Said the person who never goes anywhere.
Yeah, no. You'll be in ESPC. So
yes,
in Amsterdam, super far from your location.
Yes.
Now, but what about then the just out of curiosity? You've done the presentation. You've done now Las Vegas. What's next? What's next? And was there kind of a am I now done, or are you going to continue? Because that's actually something what we see as well.
just
no,
beginning,
it is.
right?
So I did actually find a notebook a week ago, like a OneNote notebook of all of my goals for 2023, and I did all of them. And I was like, oh my god, this has been such an awesome year. But how do I go from here? But it's not necessarily about where you go. It's about the journey and having fun.
Yes.
So for next year, I really want to become a Microsoft certified trainer. And from there, provide trainings, do the dashboard in a day, app in a day trainings, really help people there. And I want to get a full set of Power Platform exams. So I've actually skipped the easiest ones. I've skipped PL 900, 100, and 200. So I want to get them. From there, just be active in the community and in the calls. I have an awesome, or hopefully an awesome sample coming out that I'm going to be presenting on in the next community call that I'm working on with Keith. So that's a Christmas Advent calendar type of app. And then from there, just next year for January, starting at my new job, and then hopefully be speaking at events, maybe the MVP Summit, maybe Power Platform Conference again in Vegas. So who knows?
Yeah. And within the new job, within the new company, they're basically supporting you to do that, right? That's part of the deal. So that's, by the way, an important learning as well whenever somebody is switching the roles and moving to a new company. If you're part of the MVP and you want to do a community and you're an MVP and you want to visit these events and all of that stuff, you need to have that open discussion with the new employer that, hey, I'm looking into doing this. This has to be part of the package, or otherwise we will, there might be challenges around the
but I mean, it is hard, right? Because like often the argument you get back is, okay, what's in it for us?
Correct.
And that needs to be clear. And that is really the hard thing. Like, how do you make it tangible for the employer, right? Like, what is the benefit for them? And that is really the hard thing, especially if you're new to it. It's tough because it's kind of like, to me, it's in the same area as, where do you see yourself going in 3 years? Like, I don't know. Like, we don't even know where IT is going to be in 3 years.
True. I don't even know what I'm going to be next week. So,
well, there you go. Well, probably you'll be in the same chair.
Yeah, probably. but now, can we actually spend a few minutes on that particular topic? That's actually really interesting. What would be the value for company on sending people for MVP Summit, or to talk about within the conferences, or to do even the community goals? So what is the value for the employer for people to do that? Any thoughts? I have few as well.
So I would say, as a individual going to those events or speaking somewhere or doing trainings, they learn about new technologies, what's out there, or on other people that have certain skill sets. So if within that company a new project arises, then maybe you're like, oh, I saw that last week on one of the calls. We can maybe do this and that, or we are looking for this type of expertise. I know a person in the community that
networking. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that has the skill set, and they work as a consultant. Maybe we can hire them. So it's not just about you attending the sessions. It's about what you bring along, and the biggest part of it is networking. I mean, I've leveraged my connections through the community on getting things done for the company, because sometimes we have to do things that are outside of the regular Power Apps type of thing, or it's within plugins, or it's quite technical, and I don't know how, the company doesn't know how, our team doesn't know. Then I'm like, well, there's this person in the community that I know, that I know how this works, and I can ask them, and I can of course shield company information. I mean, that's fine, but it's more on the functionality and learning from that. And I think that's the biggest benefit for companies, to actually have the knowledge of what is out there, because sometimes you're really fixed within the company view of technology, of what's available, and maybe they don't know something else that's out there that could also really be helpful and beneficial to them.
Yeah. So it's the individual skills for the employer. So like in this case, Nathalie, the virtual will help you to grow and get your skills and networking and all of that.
Right.
No, well, for Nathalie as an individual, but of course
so
the employee,
not employer.
Employee will get skills, but then of course the employer will get the networking benefits out of it as well. So getting the knowledge, and as quite often what we tell for companies that we're a company where learning and growing you and increasing your skills is important. That's exactly what the community is all about. It's basically learning from others and real world scenarios with in-person and conferences, and and of course there's online calls as well. And also from an employer perspective, you, Nathalie, represent the company. So basically, as you go and then go to the MVP summit and say, see, I'm here, my company is, blah, blah, blah. Whenever the company is looking for next people to recruit, it's a positive thing for the company as you represent them. And also when you're presenting, you're probably saying, hey, I'm Nathalie. I'm from this and this company. We're awesome. Okay, let's focus on. So you're promoting the company wellness as well. So it's an interesting, but it is an interesting discussion to always have, and it has to be a discussion which is being done properly before you commit on some other company or the whatever job is, because otherwise there might be problems related on, well, I want to go to Las Vegas, I want to go to Orlando to speak on these things. I got selected, will you sponsor me? And my answer could be no, especially with given the economical situation, which seems to be getting now better. Hopefully it will continue on this direction, so which will then allow us to travel more. But there's always the cost, because again, sending somebody to Orlando or Las Vegas for a week is a cost, just the T&E, so the travel cost, but also away from invoicing.
Well, I mean, oftentimes it's more not doing the work. It costs more than actually T&E, right? But it's also this interesting thing when you think about it. To me, a part of like a big benefit for the employer is the fact that, and it's something that, in my experience, people don't talk about enough, right? It's the same thing when you grow like from junior dev, senior dev, and so like the more you raise through the rank, the more experience you get, the less time you actually spend in code, the less time you spend doing like what you would assume is your work. Like your work becomes something else. Your work becomes more about unblocking others, building relationships, spotting opportunities. It's the same thing here. You're becoming an MVP, like you are an ambassador. You have now the power to build relationship, tell everybody about your work, spot about, hey, I see these, like spot new trends, because now you are exposed to a way bigger audience than only the customers and colleagues with whom you work every day. And I think that isn't obvious, and they don't teach that at school.
True.
Right? So to truly benefit out of that ability, I think it takes like one to realize that's the case, and then also like employee and employer need to work in tandem to upskill in that. Like, hey, how do we benefit from this? How do we get the most out of that thing that we have?
True.
Yeah.
And again, sorry, Nathalie, please continue.
I was going to say that's also the biggest reason why I've decided to move to a different company, because I realized that my current company, they don't have those values, and as I've really changed and grown in the past year, I've outgrown the company in that sense. And this company, Wortel, I think they have 15 other MVPs on their payroll. Their CTO is an MVP and a RD, and they understand and value those types of things. I mean, there are a lot of companies out there that are now growing with the Power Platform and actually using it and leveraging it and finding out that there's MVPs out there. There's a whole community outside of just the regular Microsoft support type of things or PowerCat type of things. There is so much out there. And that's also what we within the community or as MVPs really try and help, is grow awareness of everything that's out there.
Yeah. Maybe let me ask you a thing, because let's debunk a myth here, right? Because like the whole idea, at least on surface, is that Power Platform is so easy, everybody can do it. Like you can go like working at a customer with embedded IT, or even the non-IT folks. It's so easy that they can do it by themselves. Why would they need a partner and Power Platform consultant to help them if it's so easy that they can do everything by themselves?
So that's a loaded question. So it's
this is going to take a while. So
I would say there's not necessarily a big difference between a citizen developer, as Microsoft calls it, and a developer. But now also with Copilot being out there, and you can ask through natural language to create things. It's a lot easier to set up a Power App or an automated flow. But if you want to go deeper, so it's still on the beginning levels of creating an app. It's not as intricate as you tell Copilot to create a plugin that on a type of event does a certain thing in JavaScript. So there's still a whole lot more that's out there that if you want to do basic, well, not basic, that's a bad word, but the easier Power Apps or Power Automate flows, then of course, sure. I mean, anyone can do it. But if you want to go deeper and actually integrate type of things or leverage GitHub Actions in combination with the Power Platform, and you want to do a JavaScript type of thing to do a certain action, then you have to go deeper. And then I would say you evolve from being a citizen developer to an actual developer. So I'm always kind of careful with the word citizen developer and fusion development and all of those things, because we are all developers in the platform, and we do the exact same thing. Whether you use Copilot, whether you use your own memory to navigate to a certain screen, it's in the end all the same that we or you are all doing.
Yeah. Is it fair to say, or one way of is it fair to say that it's basically the consultants, and from a project perspective, you would be the persons who are providing reusable components and patterns and processes and everything else, which will then empower the end users even more to use the Power Platform. That would be one way of also thinking how this actually works. So getting the true professionals like Nathalie, you, they're helping with hey, here's a set of connectors, here's the processes, here's the governance, here's the BCF components, and somebody, if you don't write them, somebody else can write them. Here's the UX design layouts and all of that. Okay, now we have a good baseline. Let's increase the abstraction level a bit for the actual end users who will then use all of those assets within the projects. So one kind of a project, so to say.
Yeah, and it's also that a Power Platform developer might also have knowledge of the other Office 365 applications or other type of data integrations, or maybe you want to integrate with SAP, and having that more governing look on the technology also really helps in bringing that.
Absolutely. Now, one thing what I wanted to come back still on the previous discussion, just to say also the benefit out of getting networking and getting to the conferences, presenting community goals, everything else is getting to MVP status. And with the MVP status, of course, you will get an NDA access to Microsoft features, which is super, super important because it helps you to then make more future-proven decisions, which will potentially save money. So let's not actually invest in here. That something's coming from Microsoft. We know that it's coming. They already shared that under NDA, but not publicly. So we cannot go there. Let's do it this way. So this would be then saving companies money. So again, coming back on that value added thing for MVPs. Now, Nathalie, what would be your tips on how to get to be an MVP? We talked about many of these things already, but just kind of summarize
some of the advice that I give people, that if you want to be an MVP just for the sake of being an MVP, don't do it. I mean, it's really about wanting to be part of the community and helping others. And for example, if you do blog posts on helping others, don't focus on yourself. It's not about you. It's about your impact on other people. I've seen people post things like, hey, this has reached 1,000 views, help me get 1,000 views more. And of course, that's a great post, but I would focus more on, hey, I have reached people with this type of topic. Can you help me share this to get it out to other people? And
Yep.
you're kind of saying the same thing, but your tone is way different, because
Yep.
the impact or the focus, it's not about you and your own how do you call it,
Benefit?
your own being your own popularity, rather than you helping and reaching other people. So that's the biggest tip I give. I give people, being an MVP is not about you. I mean, of course, there's benefits and there's perks and the NDA meetings and everything's awesome, but it's more on your impact on others.
That wasn't a Lego paid promotion, just saying.
Yes, no, not paid, not sponsored.
So Waldek, you were MVP also for 13, 12 years, right? Before moving.
12 years, yeah.
12 years. So is that a line on your thinking as well? Just recapping,
Well,
if you remember any of that time anymore.
Yeah, totally. So that's an interesting thing, right? Because the word impact, I truly understood it only after I joined Microsoft as an employee. Before that, it wasn't a thing. And I don't know if that's a thing of this time, or it's only a thing at Microsoft, and hence now we're sharing or projecting that to others too. Back then,
I would say, as a bit more longer time being in Microsoft, I would say that it's a projection of this time more than it's something which came within the previous years more as a focus area internally in Microsoft rather than
because then, like in the past when I was an MVP, it was a lot about activities and reach. So one, you wanted to show that you are not like one trick horse. Like you're not only doing this one thing. And then two, that you are able to reach a meaningful number of folks. So you are not only doing a local user group, like you present to 10 folks and you become an MVP. Like, no. Right? So that was kind of the way we thought about the program back then. Obviously now it's more about, well, activities are nice, but you can write 200 posts. What's the impact of that? Like, what has changed? How did you influence, or what kind of result did that have? I think there's more meaningful way to look at it. On the other hand, it's also extremely hard because you don't always get to see who read your article, who was in the audience. It's this long tail of activities where you go and present and you had 200 folks in the room. Who are these folks? Like, you don't get to talk to all of them and think like, hey, maybe one of them works for an enterprise. They have this huge thing, $1 million project that's going to like business critical thing. And because you shared that with them, they're unblocked or they'll be able to do more. Like, you don't get to hear that. So with that, the idea of impact is really hard, right? Yeah. So I think it like the easy way to go about it is really to look at the things like reach and views and all that. That's nice, but these are the vanity metrics that are easy to gain. But the true impact is also hard. Right.
True.
So,
and just to be clear on this one, this is more an internal Microsoft challenge rather than how to be an MVP, because being an MVP is all about contributions and all of that. And yes, that impact and that is being still measured, but it's not as, in Microsoft internal is all about the personal impact right now, but it's a trend. It goes up and down. Getting an MVP is more on being consistent and helpful.
Yeah.
For external audience.
And it's also being an MVP, we aren't tied to certain Microsoft ways of thinking. So whenever we do a blog post on a product, it's my opinion on that product. It's full unbiased. I'm not being paid. I'm not being sponsored by Microsoft. I'm not a Microsoft employee. I mean, for the Vegas conference, I did have help from Nathan Helgren for my virtual table session. He's the principal program manager for Dataverse, but it's still, I told him like, hey, I am willing to share my full slide deck with you, full disclosure, being honest, but I am being honest about it.
Yep.
So I did tell him like, I have the biggest love-hate relationship with virtual tables. It's mostly hate, but it's, I mean, I told him I was just being frank. I mean, I'm Dutch. I'm very, very open, direct, but I was like, I told him like, this will be a very honest session on, in these types of scenarios right now, this fits in that type of way, but if you want to use it this type of way, it won't work, and here's why, and here's how to work around it. And if there's any feedback, I mean, Nathan's here, you can tell him and we can do a Microsoft idea on it, but I'm me. It's my personal opinion. It's not a Microsoft sales pitch like virtual tables is awesome. It's just my personal take on it.
Yep. That's a really good clarification, actually. And let's spend a few minutes on this one. We need to close soon as well.
Yeah, exactly. But that is the one thing I wanted to ask you, because I wonder, how did that change for you becoming an MVP? Because if you're not an MVP, you have a limited access to understanding why things are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
You see things, you use a product, and you can see like it works, it doesn't work, it can do things, it doesn't do these things, or there are bugs. But basically you see the surface of what you get to use. You becoming an MVP, you might have NDA access to folks who build the product and who can tell you, well, these things are the way they are. That is why, right? And either it's not built yet, nobody thought about it. I don't know. It can be many things.
Yeah, there's a very big difference in whenever you Google something like, hey, why doesn't this work with virtual tables? I mean, I could ask Nathan like, hey, what's the technical back end to this function not working or not supporting this type of thing? And he told me, like, he gave me the full on technical details, like this is exactly why it doesn't work. And being an MVP allows you to have that discussion, or whether that's through email or a PGI call or a direct one-on-one call that can sometimes happen, that you can actively contribute and attribute to that product, and you can actually think and see the inner workings behind the scenes, like, hey, well, what if it works in that way? What if you do this and this? Or I know a PCF component that simulates that type of thing that we want to do. What if we build that functionality in the app and have it natively supported? So those are the types of discussions. I mean, my biggest feedback was for a virtual table with a SQL backend, choice columns are not supported, drop-down values are not supported. So I had a technical chat with Nathan, like, why isn't it supported? Why do I need to do a PCF component for it? Can we natively bring that in as a technical way and have that supported? So those are the types of things that is so exciting for me, and that's the whole reason why I wanted to become an MVP, is to have that type of insight, and then be able to also share that out to the world. And of course, if it's not under NDA. But then if it is under NDA and I know, okay, it's coming out in 3 months from now, I can actually build my blog post to launch within 3 months and have that information out there. So that's
But the one thing that I wanted to ask about is that, how does knowing why things are the way they are influences your perception and public critique of it, if at all? Right, because if you don't know why things are the way they are, it's easy to say, well, it's broken, don't use it. But then you know why, and you're like, does that nuance it a bit, or is it still unfiltered, like, yeah, I get it, but it still sucks?
Well, it's kind of both. So it's more, you understand why it may suck, but you can then share information that other people can actually use on working around it or helping improve it or provide feedback. I mean, this kind of sounds like a Microsoft sales pitch, like, hey, use this for product feedback. But no, it's more on when you understand a technology and the inner workings of it, then you can actually get an article out there or video out there or whatever your type of medium is to share that knowledge. I mean, you can do just a step-by-step, like, hey, click on this, do that, and this is your result. But if you go way deeper, you can actually explain why step A and step B provides that type of thing. So that's
cool.
Now, on that discussion, I a bit of a sharing.
We don't have time, Vesa. Sorry.
I know. So much to talk about, but it's actually really cool. The MVP interactivities with PMs and internal Microsoft, it's incredibly youvaluable. It's internally something what some PMs, however, are afraid of, because, well, of course, if you are a principal PM, you're at the level that you understand that engagement and all of that stuff. But some PMs are afraid of having that discussion because quite often MVPs come back as a unfiltered and direct feedback related on them, and basically could be. And so there are certain assets, not all PMs really like them, but they know the value out of them. But it's an interesting dynamics with MVPs because it might get a bit messy.
I would also say be respectful of the technology. I mean, it's always told within the community, be nice and respectful and open to feedback, etc. But it really is that. I mean, they are all within Microsoft are doing everything they can to get the product out there, and they are open to feedback. But if you give it in a respectful way, like, hey, this type of feature doesn't work, it's not as ideal in a practical sense because we may need this and that in it. I have some feedback that might help. If you approach it in that way instead of saying your product sucks. I mean, it's very, very different.
But that is a great learning and recommendation in general within the world, right? Behavior,
be polite,
be respectful,
be nice,
be kind,
be a nice
don't
person.
be an ass.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
You get the stuff done if you're not being an ass. So,
Yeah.
Cool. Now let's actually wrap up. So what's happening this week? Anything interesting, Nathalie, from your side?
I'm doing a webinar tomorrow on how to become a community leader. I can never say the word community, which is really annoying, but that's within Spark. That's an in-person panel that's going to be, or at least the panel is in person, but it will be a virtual type of thing. I'm speaking at a Wortel event in December, but other than that, I don't really have a lot planned yet.
Cool. That sounds really, really good. And it's good to have that in the title of your session for tomorrow. So you're forcing yourself again outside of comfort zone of saying community, right?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Pushing yourself a bit. So that's always good. Waldek, anything interesting on your table?
A lot of stuff. Last week we launched a new exciting sample for a graph connector that you can host on the cloud. So it's like production ready sample with queues, serverless, everything. It's insane how simple it's supposed to be, how involved it was to build, but it's so cool to see it out there. Like that is really the best part. So really excited about that one. Other than that, this week working on new content for Learn. So they'll be on our Learn platform to help folks learn new tech. So that is also, and there are a few internal things that I cannot share yet, but hopefully we'll be able to talk more about soon. So stay tuned. Good. What about you, Vesa?
Actually, also, sorry, Vesa, I actually forgot something. So there's a Microsoft Ignite Unplugged episode coming out, and you may see a familiar face in there.
Ooh,
coming out
Ignite Unplugged. Where can people find that?
It's on the Ignite website. There's a link to Ignite Unplugged, and it's a show on the behind the scenes of Microsoft Ignite. And
cool.
I and a few other familiar faces will be in the video on the different types of sessions and MVP feedback.
Cool.
Nice.
Ignite is next week, so not this week, but still coming.
But it's
soon.
the Microsoft Ignite is more the behind the scenes videos before it actually starts.
Yeah, really cool, awesome stuff. On my side, 1.18.1 for SPFX. I'm a PM as well, a feature owner on some of this stuff. So that's going out today as the podcast is getting released. And then getting ready for ESPC, scheduling social media, community stuff, community stuff. That's working obviously closely with David, and
we have that too.
ESPC is coming within 3 weeks, so that's coming. In between, I also we have an ECS speaker selections, which we need to start moving into. I whatever historical reason, I'm still in a content team for ECS, so the European Collaboration Summit, and hopefully, Nathalie, you submitted, so we can actually get you.
I did not. No. Sorry.
No.
we should introduce for the ECS a wild card. You didn't submit, but
There might
However,
be still an option. So there might be an option.
There you go.
Whenever we stop recording, yeah, we'll talk about this one in a second. ECS is basically community organized non-profit conference, which is including Power Platform as well. So European Collaboration Summit happening in May. And the main point there is that it's super cheap because it's not intended to make money. So it's community for community. And that's why I've been closely involved, I guess now more than 10 years on helping organizing that.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it. Thank you, Nathalie, for joining. Really good discussion. There would have been so many other things to discuss, and we completely blew the timing again. Which
you'll be back.
But we'll get you invited back on the show. We'll keep on doing this strictly on a weekly basis, as you know. But there's so many things. Whenever you move in to be a consultant, we'll get you back and let's have a discussion on how your world changed as part of
that. Is the grass greener on the other side?
Exactly. That's really good.
Looking forward to it.
Brilliant. We have a deal.
But thank you, Nathalie, for joining. Really, really cool. Thanks for catching up.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Excellent. And then after this, within the show, we'll jump on recapping the weekly articles which has happened, which is hopefully super short, so we don't spend too much time on them. The interviews, anyway, is the number one thing within the show. But thanks everybody for watching, and we'll jump on the articles.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Nathalie, for the discussions. So really, really cool to catch up. And once again, we took way too much time. So the certain theme.
Us too much time. It's just really, we have really interesting guests.
Absolutely. It's like, it always comes up with, I want to talk about that. Oh, that's a great topic.
Oh, you mentioned this one thing. I want to know more.
Yes, exactly. So but that was really cool. And a great focus on the power of the community and lifting others because that's what the community is all about. So helping others, networking, which helps everybody. It's a win-win storyline as we build this networking groups. Whatever.
Okay. Yes.
It's not whatever. It's the community. Anyway.
Oh yeah. So whatever. As to, I have no idea what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So
no.
Yes.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Anyway, thank you, Nathalie, on that one. Let's jump on the weekly articles. We're trying to be a bit faster on this, and they will be obviously in the blog post and notes and all of that, so you can check them from there. But this week, a lot of monthly summaries actually coming from Microsoft. But before we go there was a great update on great focused collaboration with the new Microsoft Teams channel experiences. So basically, we are evolving the channel experiences within the Microsoft Teams, adding additional details and insights and all of that stuff as well. By the way, helps, for example, understanding what are the items which are pinned, having settings and all of that.
Looking at this, I just got an idea, and I don't know if it's okay to share an idea. Like, it's not, I haven't heard about any plans about it. It's just an idea. Like, I saw this, and immediately, like, the first thing that pop up, because it says on top in this channel, right?
Yep.
Click summary Copilot. What are the unread? Like, summarize the unread for me in this channel.
Yep.
I don't know. So again, just to be clear, this is not a product announcement. I haven't heard anything in this space. I am not
just in case if you're planning to do that. I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know. And it's just the first idea that came up looking at this. Like, this is what I would expect to see there.
Yep,
Will it that there? I have no idea.
Yeah, but that would actually make a lot of sense. Click a button and it will do you the summaries, and then from there you can click and get more insights on the individual items which you're interested. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. Also, to be fair, I would love to have this as an individual web part, and then this, and so you can actually do editing of this experience. So you can add things and enabling the partner ecosystem to build additional channel-specific web part and contextual information surfacing directly within that right section of the panel and all of that. So that would be really interesting.
That is an interesting point. If you are a partner and you would find that an opportunity that you would like to use, do let us know, because it would be great to hear from you folks whether that's something that would interest you or like.
Yes, 100%. 100%. If it's something which would be valuable, add a comment, add a note. That helps us pushing these things internally as we keep on planning the next stages. So it seems like a great partner opportunity as well. So additional Extensibility is a big thing. Enables more efficient operations and all of that. But this is a lot of cool stuff and options.
Oh my God, I realized that all these images are confidential.
What?
Oh no.
What?
There's a chat, the label on top of there, like the project on the top right side.
I'm like, what? It's what? Yes, it says confidential. There we go. So, see.
Don't tell anybody.
Yes. Okay. Anyway,
Got you there.
Just confusing all of the audience. Now, then we have this monthly summary. So what's new in Microsoft Teams monthly summary, October 2023. So listing all of the individual capabilities and features and options. There's so much cool stuff getting rolled out and released.
This is
of course, that
list.
Specific features getting mentioned here as well. We have the custom properties and app, people app is coming out. So much new capabilities coming out. Some of these new hardware, new platform stuff, workflow app, workflows and channel, a lot of so much stuff. It's just really
it just
cool.
Keeps on going. It's really insane to see. And this is a single month, right? So it's really impressive to see how much stuff we have shipped. And all of these, again, are improvements, new features, new hardware, just to help people do more with Teams, right?
Absolutely. Really cool stuff. The same thing for the SharePoint roadmap, the monthly summary, which is not just about SharePoint. It's also about OneDrive, Microsoft List, Viva, and all of that stuff. But a great summary on that side as well. So new capabilities, some search, OneDrive announcements, a lot of stuff here as well across the different features and capabilities. We have in Microsoft 365. Awesome stuff. Now, on the admin side, I love the fact that they started doing the same thing. So the admin digest monthly summary on there as well, mentioning all of the individual admin changes and capabilities which have been announced. And of course, Ignite is coming. So we can pretty much assume that there's going to be a lot of new announcements during the Ignite week as well. On the Microsoft 365 blog, there was also mentioning that what's new and what's coming for OneNote on Windows. I know that you are, Waldek, a Mac person, so you don't really, the Windows isn't a thing for you. But in Windows, we had this interesting challenge. We had two different OneNotes at some point. At least we got those merged and only one.
I recall
that. Like, why? Give me a OneNote.
Because there was the classic OneNote and there was the modern one, and I guess that was really the caveat. But then the modern one didn't have all features from the classic one, and there was all caveats.
Exactly.
But I recall that.
Exactly. And if I remember correctly, we actually chose the classic one to be the one which continues, and the modern one I can't remember. Anyway. Add a comment if you remember how it went. Add a comment so we'll know. Tell us, remind us. So, but at least it's no longer two notes; it's one note, right?
Boom.
That was fun. Okay.
Next.
On the Viva Connection side, Leslie Thomas, pretty close actually on my team because I'm in the one PM in these areas as well, among the other many hats which I use. But there's a new resources update coming, which is basically the resources section in here within the Viva Connection. And there's two dimensions on this, which is the company resources and then the personal resources, which you can modify. So you can basically fill in stuff directly in here.
Is this the same? Because we heard it in the past so many times that partners wanted to customize the list of resources in the mobile app. Is this the same list?
Yes.
There are three tabs on top. One of them is resources.
So this will be, there's changes in the mobile app as well. The Viva Connection 3.0 inside an update came out, I think, 2 weeks ago. But there's certain level of changes there. But this is technically the thing what you're mentioning. So having a mobile app and the specific resources for the user in a mobile app controlled either by the company or by the user itself. So same view, but in the desktop view, it's basically bundled in the full view. The Viva Connection 3.0 is the one where we have then the hero news here. We have the announcements. We have more flexibility in dashboard and resources, and then the Viva listing below. And then the feed is in another tab.
Cool.
But anyway, so you can get already ready for this one. So you can already start building and collecting some of the resources. And there's a guidance on that one from Leslie as well. The Viva Connection 3.0 starts rolling out relatively soon. We will have a community call demo on that one pretty soon as well. Now, there was also an update on Power App side and Power App October 2023 feature update. I like the monthly summaries. I like them a lot. So again, list of the features which have been released within the past month, which is good. So lot of features and capabilities with GIF animations, which are great for presentation as well. So you can actually get, if you are presenting in a conferences, you can use the GIF animations within your presentations, which is awesome.
Yeah.
On Power Automate, there was an easy automation management with flows in Dataverse by default. So that's new steps and capabilities on that side. That sounds really, really good as well. Dataverse is really, really, really key investment area, obviously, for Microsoft within the Power Platform areas. Then we had Patrick Roach has had some updates on Microsoft Graph Search Endpoint and OneDrive and SharePoint. Have you had a chance to catch this out?
Totally
with this
right.
one?
So the idea is that in the past we had way back when, right? So originally when SharePoint would start on Prem, we had SharePoint Search. At some point that evolved to Enterprise Search with Fast. But now that we are in a cloud, we have Microsoft 365 Search or the Microsoft Search, which encompasses everything. So SharePoint, OneDrive, and other products that we've got. And the idea is basically that we spend more and more investments on the Microsoft Search side as opposed to SharePoint Search, because we realize that when you find for things, you want to find them everywhere, no matter in which app they're stored. So I want to give you a unified entry point. And this announcement is basically communicating that change, that we will no longer be investing in the SharePoint and OneDrive search. Instead, new investment. And again, the fact that we are not investing doesn't mean that things go away. Nothing is going away as of now.
Yes.
The thing is that we are investing more in new features and improvements on Microsoft Search APIs on Microsoft Graph, right? So in this article, you will see what's in there, what's available. And the cool thing is to help you, because like in your code, you will have the references to this code, right? Like to these endpoints. So we're working together with Patrick in the Microsoft 365 developer proxy to detect these calls and give you a warning. Hey, like you're using this endpoint that is no longer being evolved. Use this instead. So that helps you to find references to this old search and update that in your apps too, so that you take really or you benefit from the latest improvements that we offer. So that detection is coming soon in Microsoft 365 Developer Proxy too.
Absolutely, and again, just one more time recapping, that doesn't mean that the old APIs are not supported or that they're going to go away. Nothing has been announced and related on that.
They just stop in time.
Yes, at some point of a time they will stop. Not now. No dates. We will give you a heads up if that.
Nothing is going away. Yes.
Yes. Just clarity. Key is clarity on where we are investing and what are the areas where we are evolving and investing and adding features. Now, on the Microsoft Graph APIs for Microsoft Teams meeting transcript, that is now generally available. I pretty recently did a community call demo on this one. So in the weekly community calls. So please check that one out if you're interested on how that works. There is a cost related on using these APIs, and that's mainly because it is a lot of data. So it's a lot of insights and
depending
data.
for how long you talk, like the meeting with you would cost more than meeting with me.
Thank you, Waldek. I'm the silent Finn. I'm just the silent Finn.
Send no one ever.
What did Paolo said ESBC last year? He was the most talkative Finn he's never known, or something like that. Anyway, not sure. Cool. Sebastian Holst had a blog post related on eliminate digital drag and move your organization into modern work and generative AI fast lane. That sounds like a marketing statement, but
it is a marketing segment because Sebastian works in marketing.
There we go. Anyway, so basically context here is the all of the AI side investments what we're doing and the options in there, and why people should be having a look on integrating the AI processes within their existing business processes, because it actually increases productivity. It does not take your job, it will make you work faster. That's kind of the idea in here. A lot of good insights. That's actually really good. Cool. Now, we also had a blog post from Isaac related on introduction to Microsoft Graph Python SDK. What's Python, Waldek?
Python is a programming language just like C#, JavaScript, TypeScript.
Yes.
Java. How far do you want me to go? Right, and in there, it's a very popular language, especially in the data science, data engineers community. And to help these folks connect their work to Microsoft 365, we released a Microsoft Graph Python SDK that allows you to build apps that you connect in Python, or the apps you build in Python to connect them to Microsoft 365.
Yep, really, really cool. They make it easier for implementing scenarios with Python. And then the last one on the developer blog was announcing public preview on the Microsoft Adaptive Card Previewer. And then this is actually really, really cool. So basically, as part of the Teams Toolkit extension, you will then have an option to review or preview your adaptive card. So you can actually have a look on how it renders directly within the tool rather than moving to another location and have a look on that. This actually helps. Yeah, this helps increasing productivity. Also well, it doesn't matter which adaptive cards you're actually doing, as long as you have to adaptive card, it can be rendered directly in the tool. That's actually really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
Good. Now, on the GitHub side, we had a blog post related on the architecture of today's LLM applications. So really focusing on so we have the LLM model, and as you are implementing something that is engaging or asking or LLM to do something, how would you architect that within the default architecture side? So how do we decorate the user prompting with system prompts and all of the additional settings and all of that, like what Microsoft 365 Copilot does? It takes your question, then it gets the context from the graph and associations and all of that, and then sprinkles, relationships and relevance data, and then it shows that to the LLM to actually get the information out. So, but that's a nice blog post related on that architecture and the model if you're looking into building something like this by yourself. CLI. New version, 7.1.
Correct. New month, new release. This time, CLI from Microsoft 365 version 7.1 with a bunch of improvements. So more improvements. This time, only one new command, but a bunch of improvements with regards to making things better, easier to use, more convenient to use, fix bugs, because we have those too, right? So definitely check it out. Worth improvements, and a huge thank you to everybody who helped us, because we wouldn't have done that without all of you.
That's how the open source and community works. So really, really cool. Good to see the list is growing every single month, and a lot of changes as well. So awesome stuff. Why do you then include bugs within the version?
Well, so that we can have all these great folks to help
contributing.
Yes.
Okay. Every single software within the world. Every single software in the world has bugs, so there is no way for avoiding that. You would never ship your software if you want to be bugless. Bugless.
Yes.
Cool. Easily debug Microsoft Graph Java SDK requests. I guess this is with
this time not JavaScript, Java. You read it right. Yes. The other day I built an app with Java. It was the first app that I've built in Java since 20 years or so that I've had Java.
Java has existed, that has existed for a while.
For a long time, and it's still being used a lot, especially in the enterprise world. So it was a great experience for me to see, like, hey, can I do it still? And it wasn't super easy and obvious, because the way we create project has changed a lot. There's a bunch of tools that came out in the last 20 years and I just didn't know about it. So luckily I had an assistant that helped me build this app, and then along the way I figured out a few things, like, hey, if I call the Microsoft Graph, how do I see what's going over the wire in case I want to see more, or in case I want to double check that I format my calls the right way, that I put the right options. How do I see that? Well, there is a way for that. So if you build apps with Java and Microsoft Graph, check out this tip.
Absolutely. Really, really cool stuff as well. So what's the dependency between Java and JavaScript?
Nothing.
That is correct. I was just checking. It's actually kind of an interesting story, by the way. So
it is. Not for now, but yeah.
Yes. Now, SharePoint team site, have a look on that one in Google. So there's a good storyline. SharePoint team site homepages get the new names for some reason. So whenever you are applying a template, a site template in a SharePoint site, it will actually give you a new welcome page, and might be a bit confusing. One of the key points here is that we do not want to override any existing content. So if you're moving from a crisis communication team template to employee onboarding template, we don't want to override your potential changes within a welcome page. So that's why we introduce a new page. It might be a bit confusing. But what you can do there is that if you apply, for example, employee onboarding team, which will give you list and libraries and all of that, and images, and you can still flip back on the old welcome page if you did some modifications there. A bit confusing because it's not properly necessarily documented, but it's good finding from Mark and sharing that. Now, Chris had a really interesting thing. I'm like, how did you find this one out? But actually, he references a technical comment in somewhere tech world where he actually found this, and it works. That's actually really, really cool. So how to enable dev tools in a new Microsoft Teams client? You technically add a configuration JSON file and you set the dev menu true, and after that, when you restart, you will have additional dev tooling. That's actually really, really cool.
Yeah, if you are a dev and you need to debug things, this is brilliant.
Exactly, precisely. So really, really cool. And as you can actually see, it's technically the browser dev tooling which is running on the site, because it is technically a browser. So
yeah, but actually this is actually pretty cool, because we use the same approach in Microsoft 365 Developer Proxy now, where we use the dev tools as the UI.
Yeah,
and we aren't a web app. Like Proxy is not a web app, but the way it works is that you can hook up DevTools into a socket, and when you write the messages to it, they will appear in the DevTools.
Yep, that's.
So I wonder if that's kind of the same way this works.
Yep,
it's insane.
That's true. That's true.
It's really cool.
Yep, this is super useful for the community. Now, from the Sutharsan, guest users to send email from SPFX web part actually could be a quite typical scenario. So what are the permissions which we need to grant, and then what is the needed code to be actually apply using the graph to be able to send the email using that? That's actually really sweet memory. Definitely one of those things. How do I do and send an email using graph? Here, done.
There you go, done. Yeah.
Then we had a article from Giacomo pronunciation. Anyway, export text content from SharePoint online pages to HTML could be a thing where you need to actually do this. And basically has a script and an example available how to do that. So how do you actually get the information from this page and export that to HTML? It's actually really cool. Yeah. If you would need to do that, whatever reason that is, you can do that. And then we had a article from Alexander Holmstead around delegated graph API calls in Azure Function. What is delegated graph API calls?
So the calls that are being executed on behalf of the user who runs who calls the API. So imagine you have an app. From the app, you call the API. You're calling them as a person. And then your identity is being reused from calling calling the Microsoft Graph on behalf of you.
Yep. And this is using the on behalf row technically then. So
I do not know. I don't know. I haven't gone that far in to see how it's relaying the info.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fair. But this is a typical scenario Yes, absolutely. It should be using -AD on behalf flow for not reusing the token what you're getting from wherever you're actually coming from. You are getting the permission and a token for your application and then using that to call back on the graph. So super important thing, so that you don't actually use a token which is not for you and for your application. You have your own token.
Well, but I mean, I don't even know if you could use it, because if you get a token for your API, you cannot use that token to call graph. And if you get a token to call graph, you shouldn't be able to call your API with that.
True.
So...
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Nuances.
Yeah. Details, right?
Yeah. Technical. Anyway, Message Center show just released their latest update, episode 309, Copilot availability, new Teams meeting, gallery, call-up notes in stream, and so on. So a new video from Darrell and Daniel. Thank you for that. Awesome stuff. I really like this show, because they're actually walking through all of the things what we're announcing, even though we forgot about announcing those necessarily as a blog post. So these are coming from the Message Center, which is required for every single PM to update whenever something is rolling out. Well, not every single, but some PMs. And then we had the episode 2 for the Copilot Chronicles series from April Dunham. Thank you for that. The 3 R's of prompting.
Rinse, repeat, rehash.
Rinse, repeat, rehash. Yeah. That's actually.
If you want to know what the 3 R's are,
yes,
check out this episode.
Yes, 100%. Anyway, and then we have the episode 267 on the Piasus Tech Bytes, understanding Microsoft Intra managed identities. So previously known as what? Waldek? Yes, previously known as
Azure Active Directory.
Yes,
it's now called Entra ID.
Which still is an interesting rename of whatever reason, but it's
interesting name.
Yeah, well, I think it's grouping a bigger bundle on. Anyway,
you didn't get the joke.
Yeah,
it's
I don't.
Interesting rename.
Interesting, really interesting. Good. And Shane had an update related on Power Automate V2 trigger for Power Apps. So there was a update, and there has been previous videos on this one, and this is basically the focusing on why you should be using that for Power Apps. Cool. Let's get back on this you and me mode. Here we go.
Yes.
I'm a director.
And action.
Cool. We already went through what's happening this week, which is already done. We already spent way too much time on the articles and discussions. Any last words, Waldek?
So long and thanks for all the fish. If you haven't done it yet, register for Ignite.
Yes.
Other than that, we will see you, or we will not see you. You will see us next week, because when we do this, we cannot see you. So you will see us next week.
Yes. We'll be back within a week. Ignite is within a week when this is getting released. Starts on Tuesday. I think it's 14th, something like that. I think it's 14th. Wow. I was, yeah. Mm-hmm. And Ignite is free to attend remotely, so you can get access on 95% of all of the material. There are some special things which they're setting up in person in Seattle, but it's not a massive in-person conference system yet. Hopefully next time. Hopefully soon we'll get to the massive Orlando-sized thing.
20K attendees.
Yes, related on that one, Microsoft 365 conference in end of April. Microsoft is getting closer and closer in partnerships with organizers on that one, and we're looking into making that as the biggest Microsoft 365 conference within the world next year. So that's looking into being the biggest Microsoft 365 conference since the dawn of Microsoft 365 conferences, whatever that means. But there's a really good task force now set up on actually growing that task force of Microsoft people from marketing and engineering and all of that. So should be heading to the right direction. But it's good to know,
cool.
So people know that it's coming. But I guess that's it. Thank you, Waldek. Thank you, Nathalie. And we'll be back within a week. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
See ya.